You're listening to the LSG Sports Network, the authority on Texas high school football. Welcome to the Texas High School Football Coaches Show on Lone Star Gridiron. I'm Chris Daly, and it's my belief that the men that make up the fraternity of Texas high school football coaches are much more than a bunch of thick-necked guys with whistles. They do so much more than teach technique and the X's and O's of football. They take young boys and change them into young men of character. They get kids to believe in themselves, to trust others, and to put others ahead of themselves. Texas high school football coaches are unique in how they impact the lives of these athletes as well as the generations those kids touch. In this show, I sit down with a different Texas high school football coach each time and learn about them. Not their record, not their on-field accomplishments, but who they are and what they believe and what it means to be part of the greatest sport in the greatest state. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Texas High School Football Coaches Show. I'm your host, Chris Daly. This is Season 6, and today I have a great one. I know I say that every time, but I do. A former Howard Payne University Hall of Fame player, retired coach, but he had one heck of a career. We're going to sit and talk with Robert Woods right after these messages. When all things are equal between coaches and players and situations, what is the big difference in a winning program and a losing program? Well, I tell you, I think a big factor is the information you have available as a coach. And our sponsor, Optimum Grading, can do so much to help you have that information. They provide a comprehensive, fully customizable web application designed from a coach's perspective to analyze the players based on what the coach is teaching. By default, players are evaluated from their alignment, assignment, technique, effort, and production result. And through reports, a coach can understand where the player is exceeding and where he's struggling. But as I talked with the founder, what I discovered was what makes this system different than any other tracking system is that it is so customizable. You can decide what's important to you, and you only have to track those factors that you find important. This powerful platform integrates play data with the coach's input on every single play and ultimately allows the coach to run detailed reports to uncover how the players are performing overall and in situational football. It's really good stuff. Check it out, OptimumGrading.com. I tell you, this is a tool that will separate winners from losers.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Power Plus Mouth Guard. What is that? Well, it's a mouth guard that helps you perform better and also increases your strength, your balance, your stamina, reduces the G-forces which are found in concussions. And the way it does that is it aligns your jaw properly. So this mouthpiece not only protects you, but it's going to help you breathe better. And that's really what it comes down to. It puts your airways in a better alignment, and so that helps you breathe better. That helps you have better balance, helps you have better stamina, the more oxygen getting to your brain, the more oxygen getting to your muscles, and that's where this mouth guard can help you. So you can check them out online. Just go to powerplusmouthguard.com. All you have to do is hit / and shop, and it'll show you all the mouthpieces they have. But check them out and check out the website. Dr. Michael Hutchins is the one who has designed this new technology, and I really do think it is very forward-thinking in helping reduce concussions, in helping you be more alert late in the game when you're going to be tired, your muscles are tired, lack of oxygen is starting to affect you. This mouth guard will help you in getting more oxygen to you. So check them out, powerplusmouthguard.com.
All right, everybody join me in welcoming Coach Robert Woods to the show. Coach, how are you doing today?
Doing great. I'm retired and playing a lot of golf and enjoying myself.
I love it. I hope to be you someday. So if you could, let's talk let's go way back to when you discovered the game as a kid. What was your first introduction to football?
My first introduction was back in 1965 when I played at Rogers High School, and that was at the height of integration. And I had a great high school coach and played 4 years there. I was supposed to go to the black school that was about 16 miles away in Cameron, Texas, but we integrated, and I got to go to high school in Rogers, Texas. And I had a great high school coach who really piqued my interest in coaching, and I knew that's what I wanted to do when I first started playing and in athletics. I knew that was something that I wanted to do.
And what position did you play?
I was an offensive and defensive lineman in football.
Yeah. And then how about the other sports?
Oh, well, we played everything there. I was a basketball player, really enjoyed basketball. I threw, shot, and discus and track. I played baseball and even played a little volleyball because we had a little volleyball back in those days for guys. And so I did just about a little of everything.
Nice. And so after high school, what happened?
Well, my high school coach got me involved and got me a scholarship. I got to go play football at Howard Payne College then, but it's Howard Payne University now. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give you the name of my high school coach. His name was Don Godwin, and he is in the Texas High School Coaches Association Hall of Honor. And I was really honored and was really blessed to play my high school career for him.
Wow, that's very cool. And tell me about your Howard Payne career. How did that go?
It went really, really well. I played in college. I was a linebacker in college. We had a good football team there. We in 1971 we won the Lone Star Conference, and we were in there with the likes of East Texas and Texas A&I and Stephen F. and all those people, and we won the Lone Star Championship that year. We also played in a bowl game, and I had a really, really good career there in college. Also, my college coach, his name was James Cameron. He was one of my head coaches there, and he is also in the Texas High School Coaches Association Hall of Honor.
Wow, so you've been surrounded by really good examples of coaching.
That's exactly right. I sure have.
And I'm assuming that those men are what kind of made it stick that, hey, this could be a career I want to do.
Yes, it really did. It was something that I enjoyed, and I really had a good time doing it, and I really related to those guys because they were all about developing you as a person as much as a football player. And I also go back to my high school coach. You know, in the height of integration there, we never had any problems at all. We were all Rogers Eagles. We all came together, and we had some good football teams back then.
I love that. And so what was the beginning of your coaching career? How did that begin?
That began, I was redshirted my first year in college. And so I graduated in the winter of 1974. And my college coach at that time, my head coach was Dean Slayton, who was a real good and real big influence on me. And he got me hooked up to go to Plano, and I started coaching in Plano in the winter of 1974, right after I graduated, because I graduated at midterm because of the redshirt year. So I was able to go there and to start coaching there, and that's when I got started in coaching, was in Plano in 1974. And what
was the first job at Plano?
It was as a junior high assistant at Bowman. Junior high at that time, it may be different now, but it was Bowman Junior High, 7th and 8th grade school there in Plano, and I spent my first half year there. Ironically, I left there after that half season because I was lucky enough to be drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles that year. So I left and went up to training camp with the Philadelphia Eagles and lasted to the last cut, and I got cut the last cut, and I was just lucky enough that when I got cut, I called Plano back, and they had a position open, and I was able to go back there and resume at the place where I started.
Wow, very nice.
Yes, that was a great deal. John Clark, who is also in that Texas High School Coaches Association Hall of Honor, I joke a lot because he hired me twice. He hired me the first time, and I left it, and then he hired me again after I got cut.
Well, he saw something in you, I guess, huh?
Well, having him seeing something in you is a big deal because he is one of the greatest coaches I know.
I love that. And so what was it like when you first started? How, what was it that you learned that you're like, oh, I didn't realize this was the job?
Well, there wasn't a whole lot. The one thing that I did find was that it wasn't just a fall sport. I know in Plano, under Coach Clark's leadership and Coach Kimbrough's leadership, we had a great off-season program. And I learned that if you're going to have a good football team, that you got to build that base during the off-season. And that was really something that I hadn't thought about a great deal up until that time. And that was a great proving ground and learning ground for me to have that experience of coaching there, because I saw what it took to build a good team.
Nice. And what about your next position? How long did you stay doing junior high, and then where'd you go from there?
Okay, I left Bowman, and I was over at Wilson Middle School for a year over on the other side of Plano, which was the west side, and then I was at Bowman. It turned into Williams High School, 9th and 10th grade school for a year. And then after that 1 year there, Coach Kimbrough promoted me to the varsity in Plano, and that was in 1976, 77.
Nice. And how did that differ for you? What was the difference as your day-to-day work?
It differed a great deal because we were it was all about our off-season program and learning the system there. And we tried to run the system all the way up, from 7th, 8th, and 9th grade all the way up to the varsity. But it was more involved when I got to the varsity there. And my first varsity position there was coaching the two techniques. And my first two technique there was Billy Ray Smith. He was a great player who ended up being in the pros and whatnot for a long time, and he was one of my first. He was my first position player that I had as a position coach in Plano.
Nice. And what you mentioned, Billy Ray. Everybody knows you had great athletes. You do better, but what percentage would you say of success is the athlete versus coaching the athlete?
Well, I think it goes hand in hand. There's no doubt that if you don't have talent, you're not going to win very many games, no matter how good a coach you are. There's no doubt about that. But on the other hand, if those good athletes or those great athletes aren't going to discipline themselves to do the things that you need to get done and develop themselves in the off season with the weight training and the things that we do to set yourself up for success, you're not going to be successful. I don't think that it's either or. I think they both go hand in hand. You got to have great athletes, but you also got to have a program that's set up to enhance those good athletes. And you're not going to have great athletes at every position. You're going to have some just good old kids that are just good high school football players that you have to develop to make out the rest of your team.
Okay, and then what about the team itself? How did the team do? How was Plano football during those days?
During those days, we did really good. I was really fortunate. We played for 4 state championships while I was there and won 3 of those. And I worked my way up from an assistant, from a true technique coach, all the way up to offensive coordinator to defensive coordinator, and I worked my way all the way up to that by the time that I left. But we had a great program there, and we had a lot of great kids. But I believe that Billy Ray Smith was the only pro football player that I coached in my tenure at Plano, and we won a lot of games and did a lot of good things.
Wow. And so would you say you're primarily an offensive guy or a defensive guy?
I couldn't say. I really couldn't say, because I really did both. I started out as a two-technique coach in Plano, but I also advanced from there. When we lost our offensive line coach, I coached the offensive line for several years. And then I moved over and became the defensive coordinator and coached our linebackers and coordinated the whole defense. So I just have to say that as a head coach also, you got to know both sides. You can't be relegated to just one side. So I think I knew both of them pretty well. Got
it. And as far as the chess match of offense versus defense, what do you enjoy more, the react to the play or the surprise people with a play?
Well, I don't think that we surprised very many people with it, but I think that what I enjoyed a great deal was the defensive aspect of it, being able to come up with a plan to stop your opponent's best play and to always be sound in everything you did. And that was always a good joy. But it was also on the offensive side, being able to take players that weren't the best athletes in the world. And we always ran a type of option-based offense to where you didn't have to overpower people to be successful. And in the option, you were able to do some blocking schemes and things like that you didn't have to overpower people. And that was the aspect of the offense that I really enjoyed.
Nice. And what take us next after Plano? What happened?
I became a head coach after that, and I moved on over to Wilmer-Hutchins High School that's right outside Dallas. They're over towards South Dallas.
Yeah. And you had a little success.
Yeah, we did. We were fortunate. We had some good football teams there, and one of my favorite team, I guess, as my tenure as a head coach was the 1990 team that ended up winning the state championship. And there's a couple of things about that team that made it really, really special. And one was the conditions that we played the state championship game in. It was a ice-covered field in Waco. Yeah. And at that time, we were completely, all the kids we had were black kids, and people just couldn't believe that those kids could perform in those conditions. But, I had been there for 3 years, and we had the same type of off-season program that I'd been around all the time, and we conditioned ourselves, mind and body, to be able to play in adverse conditions, and we were able to do that day.
Nice. And what do you think was, and not even just Wilmer-Hutchins, whether it's Wilmer-Hutchins, whether it's Plano, whether it's Cedar Hill, what do you think is the secret to building that culture that gets kids to believe they can win?
Well, what we've always done, and what I gleaned from Plano and then took it with me everywhere I went, was that you have to build your base during your off-season program. And you have basically 6 months out of the year, the 3 months you play, the 9, you have 6 months usually that you're in your off-season program, and you have to build your base during that off-season program. We did a good job at Plano, but I also feel like we did a good job at my other stops, and one of the reasons was that that's when powerlifting first came in. And there was a time where you could take your kids and you could work with them after school as a powerlifting team and do all the things that you couldn't get done in an hour a day. And I think that was a big area that helped us be successful. Besides our good off-season program was our powerlifting program, because we were able to be strong as we could be and to work with those kids outside the school day and be legal about it, because powerlifting is now a pretty big deal. Lots of people do it, and we were on the ground floor of it and really did a good job of it.
Excellent. And so, tell me about your whole tenure there at Wilmer-Hutchins. How did it go, and how did you move on from there?
I had a great time at Wilmer-Hutchins. I had some great kids there. That's where I coached the second of the two pro football players that I've ever coached. Keith Washington played several years for Baltimore, I believe the Baltimore Ravens, and he was the best player probably that I had at that time that went on to college and played. But I had a lot of great kids there. One of them is Carlos Lynn, who is now the head coach at Cedar Hill. He was a great high school football player, went on to play at East Central in Oklahoma and won a national championship there as a player, and has turned into a great coach.
Nice. And then what happens after Wilmer-Hutchins?
From there, I went to Crowley High School, and I spent 3-4 years there. And then from there, I went to Cedar Hill, and then from Cedar Hill to Thomas Jefferson High School in Dallas. Got
it. And how did you come to meet Joey McGuire?
I hired Coach McGuire as an assistant coach when I was in Crowley. Nice. He was a graduate of Crowley High School, and he was on his way to doing something else, I think, as a nurse or practitioner or something like that. But he came up and saw us one day work out or whatnot, because one of his good friends was on the coaching staff there at Crowley. So he came by one day and saw us work and whatnot, and kind of got enamored with it and chose to go into coaching. And he had his first coaching job was for me there in Crowley.
Nice. Yeah, he's a good friend. That's very cool.
He's doing a great job. I think he's going to do a super job at Tech.
Oh, I think he's going to do wonderful for sure. And such a good guy.
Yes, he sure is.
I guess tell me about the run at Cedar Hill.
We had some up and down times in Cedar Hill. When I got there, we were in a down phase. My first meeting there at Cedar Hill, I think we had like 24, 25 players that showed up. And we qualified for the playoffs, first time they had qualified in a long time. We opened up the new stadium that they have there now. We won the first football game in that stadium. So we had a good run in Cedar Hill. And then we had a couple of down years, and whenever you have some down years, things change, and they made a change.
Got it. And then after coaching high school, what was next for you?
I haven't done anything since I stopped coaching. Like I said, I'm retired. I live in Whitney, Texas, and I live in a great community out here. Have a lot of good friends. My wife and I play a lot of golf, and I garden, and I mow my yard and do things like that, and just living a pretty good life right now.
I love that. And you can't say you're not doing anything, because I know you were recently speaking to the Cedar Hill organization and talked about what it is that you go and talk about when you do that.
Well, I try to relate to them the things that was successful for me and worked for me. When I talked to them this past week, I went and talked to them. I told them that I couldn't tell them anything about X's and O's, because I have no idea what they do on offense or defense right now. Game has changed a great deal since I was last in it. I couldn't tell them about things like that, but I could relate some things about the off-season program, about how you prepare yourself as an assistant coach, because I was an assistant coach for a lot of years, and prepare yourself as a head coach, and addressing your staff and the work that you do to get ready game by game and whatnot. So, it was just a little bit of those things. And I stressed the importance of the all-season program, and I stressed the importance that I think that always made a difference for me was that you had to give your kids the repetition that was necessary for them to be successful. You can't ask them to go out and do something that's foreign to them. And you got to give them enough reps that they can be successful at what you want to do. And it doesn't have to be cutting edge stuff all the time. You know, it doesn't have to be that kind of stuff. Like I said, we ran an option-based offense all the years that I was coaching, and you got to believe in what you do, and you got to give your kids the repetitions that they need to be able to succeed in whatever system that you're running.
Definitely. And aside from, you know, those players that went on to play in the NFL or even D1, if you could talk a little bit about how this game builds young men and how they become better citizens and parents and things like that. Okay,
I'd be happy to, because I think that's a really a big thing that athletic does, and I think it's something that we need in our nation, in our country, more than ever right now. And I know that the kids that have come by me and that have worked with me, I try to instill in them the same things that my old high school coach instilled in me, and that's to work hard and to be a good citizen and do the right things. And I think that's what this game does. It also teaches you to rely on someone other than yourself. I think football is the ultimate team game, because you got so many people trying to do so many things, and you're trying to get everybody to pull in the same direction. And I know that some of the better things that have happened after coaching, not winning games and whatnot, is that kids that have come back and said, Coach, I used some of the things that I learned in football and off season in my everyday life, and I stress it to my kids and use it in my everyday life. You know, one great story was I had a kid that quit our team in Wilmer-Hutchins. He called me a few years ago, and he said, Coach, I quit, and I really regret that I did. He said, you didn't run me off. He said, you gave me an opportunity to stay, and I decided not to. And he said, right now I'm coaching my son's Pee-wee team, and he said, I find myself telling them the same thing that you told me when I was playing for you. And he said, I just wish I would have stuck it out and stayed with it. But, you know, that's a story that is a true story, but it also relates to it's not always the better players that you influence. You know, you can influence those that even leave your program if you do it the right way.
Amen. Coach Robert Woods, man, I want to thank you so much for sitting down with me and sharing a little bit of your really cool story.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you being interested, and I hope this all comes out good.
Did you play Texas high school football? If you did, you're part of an elite group, the Brotherhood of Texas High School Football. All football players, past and present, who have ever suited up in the Lone Star State are eligible. Go to LoneStarGridiron.com/brotherhood. And thank you for the part you played in the greatest sport in the greatest state.
Until next time, I'm Chris Daly, and we'll see you at the game.